testing audio. We begin here very shortly.
You're the night sky trying to make me see your stars, but the dark gets so lonely. Now I see violet, I can feel silence, and the dark's all that I see. When your stars have burnt out and your heart makes no sound, I'll find violet in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. Be my night sky. You'll always be my night sky. You're the night sky hiding behind dark gray clouds. I can't figure you out.
Hi everyone, good evening.
There is so much cold in you, and the silence is so loud when you go.
I just want to make sure that you follow through on what's behind me here on this slide. You will see that this is a QR code. This QR code actually takes you to a handout that accompanies the class. So if your phone has a QR code reader attached, or if you have an app, there are many downloadable apps that have QR code readers, the ability to read a QR code. If you read this QR code, it should take you to the form that accompanies this class so that you can, just have some notes with you. Otherwise, feel free to just scribble along in a notepad or something, and we shall um, get that information sorted through bit by bit. Anyhow, we're about to begin. Just want to make sure that everyone is hearing me fine. So just to get that final confirmation, if you're all hearing, let us go ahead and start the class now. So just want to get some confirmations that you're hearing my voice. I'm going to be turning off the background music shortly. So I know Evelyn had mentioned that she was not hearing anything. So can you hear now, Evelyn? Just type it in the chat section. Just waiting. There's no answers. Maybe you're not hearing me. Okay. All right. So Jacqueline is hearing. Good. There seems to be an error with my stream level apparently. Let me just refresh this page. And then we'll begin. Okay, so it's not yet. Alright, I'm gonna just stop the stream temporarily and try it again. Alright, so that looks like it fixed it. Good. Alright, I'm excited to have today's class, and I'm really looking forward to being able to just spend some time with all of you. Let me try to see if I can. Yeah, I like that one. So, good evening, everyone. Finally, we're about to begin, and I hope to wrap this class up, hopefully without going too much into your time. I'm hoping that those who are home would have been there for a while relaxed. Please excuse the grease on my forehead. I've not washed my face. My wife would not be happy about that. In fact, I'm going to just give you some music. Let me just go get the shine off my face. Didn't realize it was this shiny. Because I don't want my wife to be, annoyed, because I do this all the time. I don't pay attention to my appearance, it seems. So give me a couple seconds and just enjoy the music while I just get ready for a class. Okay, I am back, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope this looks a little bit more presentable. Alright, so good to be here, good to be able to share with you. I hope that you by now have downloaded, and you can just indicate in the chat section too if you've had an opportunity to download the form or to just bring it up on your phone so you can follow along with us. But if you have been able to do that, just let me know by just indicating such in the chat section. And if you had any difficulties, anyone tried doing it but it's not working out for you, just let me know as well. All right, because I want to make sure that you're getting the best out of this experience. So the topic is 7 keys to getting and staying well. Seven keys to getting and staying well. Now, the important thing about this opportunity that we get to share information with each other is that it allows us to be able to learn from each other. And I say from each other because I don't consider learning to be a one-way street. It is a two-way street, so I expect that in as much as you will probably learn some things from me, I expect that I too might be able to learn some things from you. So if it is that you have something meaningful to share, please go ahead, feel free to share it in the chat, so that we can all be edified. But as it is, if you're lacking any understanding, if there's anything that I say that's confusing or the like, just indicate so that I can try to go over it for you. I want this to be a good experience where it's interactive as much as this medium allows. So please feel free to suggest, make your chats, make your comments. All right. So let us begin. So as we're dealing with the 7 keys here, it's important just to point out a few things. And this is a handout that we talked about. It's a fill in the blanker here, but the blanks are already filled in the form that I've tried to make available for you. It's a Google form. I'm not sure. It's on my Google Drive, so I'm not sure if you need a Google account, Jacqueline, to access it. I'm not sure if you have to be signed into Google in order to access it, but it's possible because some of these places they make things a little bit tricky. So if it's working for somebody else, let us know. But if it's not, and you have a Google account, a Gmail account, try to log in using your Gmail account and see if it allows you to be able to view the form. Alright? Let us begin. I'm gonna turn off the music so that we can all hear without the competition of the music. Alright, so the 7 keys to getting and staying well. And this is a handout access. So the first key and the first important point is that you have to understand what your service provider offers so that you can benefit maximally from that person. And in this case, we're talking about the healthcare provider. But it doesn't matter what industry, whatever it is, you need to know what they offer so that when you go there, you can get the most out of it. Sometimes people get frustrated because they go somewhere for something and the place is not something that that place makes or sells or offers, but because the person is expecting it, they are upset, and they might even be upset at the um, unwitting salesperson. But as it is, when we are looking at the healthcare system, there are a lot of misconceptions about what the healthcare system can actually offer. And so people get upset at their doctors when they don't get what they want. We're in a more a time where people are, a lot more information is accessible by way of, the different um, platforms, whether it is a search engine or a web browser, what have you. We have a lot more access to information than ever before. And so, because of that, you expect that your doctors will be able to give you certain things and do certain things for you. And so, when you go and you realize that you don't get it, you're frustrated, you're upset. But please be patient with your doctors. Sophia, let me just indicate to Sophia to refresh her page because I've turned off the music for a while. Let me just double check to see if it's really off. It should be off. Yeah, the music is off. So she's probably looking at an older thing. So I just make a comment in the chat. Sophia. Sorry, guys. Ah. So I just wanted to indicate to her. So, and that's true for anyone else. Anyone else that's listening, if you get to this point and you hear my voice saying this, um, refresh your page to make sure that you're as current as possible with what we're saying. If you join us late or if there was a pause on your thing on your device, you might be actually watching us, in the past. So try to catch up now because we're about to begin. You have not yet missed anything. So back to our thing. So if you go to your doctor and the doctor is not able to offer you, let's say one of the most common complaints is, why does my doctor offer me medication? I don't want any medication. I just want to get some, lifestyle modification. I want to get some exercises. I want to get some nutritional advice. Please understand me. Your medical doctors, unless they did specialized or personalized training where they went and they studied this on their own or went to some seminars because of their own interest and learned about nutrition and so on, chances are your average medical doctor is not educated to be able to guide you on what to drink or eat or what have you, right? They can't make recommendations like that. So be patient with your doctors. They do the best they can, but they're trained to prescribe medications and do surgeries. That's their primary training. So if it is that they're not doing anything except that, you have to understand. All right. So let us move forward here because I want to make sure you understand. There's a difference between what we call sick care and health care, where sick care is when you're caring for sick people, which is what, ironically, the healthcare system actually does. We call it the healthcare system, but it really cares for sick people. So it's not a health care, it is sick care. All right, I don't mean it in a derogatory way at all. But just to make a distinction, because if you want to look at the system, sick care is reactive. It's waiting until something has gone wrong and then trying to do something to address that which has already gone wrong. But if you want true healthcare is proactive. What does proactive mean? It means that you have to do something in anticipation of something going wrong, do something to prevent something from going wrong, but you have to do something before something has already occurred. That is what we mean by being proactive, acting before an event. Now, the importance of that is that sometimes you make a choice and you want to wait, and you end up with a situation where you're waiting for something to happen, and then when it happens, you decide that, okay, if I get sick, I'm going to go to the doctor, and then when you get sick, it's something that the doctor can't help with. We can't simply wait for things to go wrong first, because the thing that might go wrong might be something that might actually be something that can't be resolved, or something that might kill us. So we don't want to wait for things to go wrong. We want to prevent things if possible. And so that's the difference. And this is what I want for all of us to understand, is that I want you to move from a mindset of waiting for things to go wrong to that of preventing things from going wrong in the first place. And we are in a crisis not only in our country, but in the world, as you can see what's unfolding internationally. That's provided that your only source of news is not the mainstream media, whether it's our mainstream, one of our two mainstream news outlets here for TV, or one of the main media sources on the radio. If you only pay attention to those sources for information, you will miss out on a lot of information, because information is really censored quite heavily, and you are only exposed to information that the private entities, which the news stations are private entities, decide they want to show you. And if it is something they don't want to show you, you will never hear it. So I don't want to go too much into this, but I advise you to, despite what they say about getting false information, you have to be able to not only look at what persons say and take it at face value, but find sources that give you the background information, or sources that give you reference materials that you can look up and vet for yourself to verify that the information that they're sharing is actually, that's how it actually is. And one such way of doing it is by using research articles. And we have access to research articles publicly. You can just type in the title of a research article in your Google search bar, or DuckDuckGo, or wherever you're looking, and you can get good information. So try to read and get info as widely as possible, so that you're not held captive by that which only the entity wishes for you to know. All right? But the crisis that we have is because we're having the number one reason why people go to hospitals right now, even in this pandemic time. The number one reason why people are going to hospitals is because of a lifestyle disease. Whether it is heart disease, diabetes, cancers, strokes, these are all lifestyle diseases, meaning that how you live your lives determines largely the likelihood of you developing these conditions. And so if you want to have a chance of overcoming them, then you can't simply treat a lifestyle disease with drugs and surgeries and expect to get a good outcome. If it's a situation that is requires drugs and surgery, then drugs and surgery will be the ideal thing. But since lifestyle choices lead to the lifestyle diseases, then drugs and surgeries cannot be the answer, because that's not the cause of the problem. You have to change lifestyle. And so this is why it is important that if you want to have a healthy lifestyle, if you want to have a wellness lifestyle, you have to change the way you think. So let's watch this carefully, because there are two ways that we think or can think. And if you think in accordance to these two ways, then you have a better chance of having a good outcome. One is according to what is called the illness care model or sick care model. And the other one is according to the wellness care model, which is the model that I'm suggesting. It's a better model for us if we want to be healthy. So let's look at it, because according to the illness model, when you have an ailment, when something is wrong, when you have pain, when you have a headache, when you have fever, when you have a rash, whatever it is that's wrong, the first thought that they try to implant in our minds, or how they've taught us, and many people are taught this way, and you more than likely are among them, because I too was among them until I had to be untrained or re-educated, if you will. And that is, if you have an ailment, you want to take something in order to feel better. Feel better. If your goal is simply just to feel better, you're going to be slaves to the person who can make a product that will influence how you feel without influencing how you are. And so the reality that a lot of people face is that sometimes you might have a pain condition, and rather than trying to find out what's causing the pain, if you take a painkiller that eradicates that pain without necessarily fixing the problem, you will probably stop worrying about the problem and stop trying to find a solution, because you have in your mind a way of dealing with the pain. But rather than simply wanting to just feel better, you need to ask yourself a different question. What can I do in order to get better? Because getting better is far more necessary, far more important than simply just feeling better. And this is something I want persons to start to pay attention to. How can I get better, rather than what do I need to do to take to feel better? Right? The next thing is getting well. A lot of persons in the wellness paradigm, we think to ourselves, you know what? I wish that I could be well right now. If you have a loved one in the hospital, you may give them a card or a balloon or something that says get well soon. Because in our minds, the whole idea of getting well is simply a wish, it's a hope, it's a fantasy, it's a desire. We are hoping that they will miraculously obtain good health. We're not saying to them, you know what, you need to get some sun, get some exercise in, you need to stop eating the burgers that you're ordering here while you're in the hospital, and start moving around slowly with your doctor's advice and get in some good nutrition. Stop drinking the Ensure, because the Ensure is horrible food. And yes, I know a lot of people in hospitals and a lot of people who are sick. They end up taking a lot of products like that. And the reality is that it's laced with unhealthy things. So if you want to be healthy, quit eating those kinds of things or drinking those kinds of things, right? Wellness is a journey. It is not a destination. It's a journey to wellness, not arriving at wellness. And if you think of it as a destination, you're going to be utterly disappointed, because if you do everything right and you happen to end up in wellness, if you don't continue to do these things, you'll be drifting away from it. So it's not like you're home where you just park your car and relax and you're there. If you stop working towards it, you will never maintain it. And so wellness is a continuum, it's a journey. And so rather than simply saying, I want to get well, you want to start asking yourself the question, what do I need to do in order to stay well? Because staying well is way more important. All right? It suggests that we do something over and over again to maintain it, to sustain it. Otherwise, we will not remain in that state. The number one way that a lot of persons look at whether somebody is healthy or not is how long they live. And how long you live has more to do with God's decision on your life than it has to do with your choices that you make. Because there are a lot of people who live very unhealthy lives, but yet still they live to be a ripe old age. Some people smoke well up into their 70s and 80s or 90s, and they never develop lung cancer. You have other people who live very healthy lifestyles and they work out regularly, they eat healthily, and something happens and they may die. They may be in a car accident, they may have a fall, something may happen and it takes their lives. So how long you live is not a good measure of how well your health is. There is a correlation, but it's not a one-to-one relationship. So rather than simply using that as a measuring stick, wanting to stay alive, ask yourself the question instead: what do I need to do in order to feel alive? Because if I can now feel alive, that means the quality of my life is what is important. The quality of my life is awesome. And that is what we want. We want the quality of our lives to be amazing, because it is this quality that makes all the difference for us. All right? So that's it right there. But look at the subtle change, because it's a subtle change for each of them. From get from feeling better, getting well, and staying alive, you want to shift to getting better, staying well, and feeling alive. So feel, get, stay becomes get, stay, feel. It's a subtle shift, but that shift makes all the difference. Now, a lot of people are confused about pain and what pain offers us and what pain is and what pain does and the value of pain. And because of this misunderstanding, a lot of people make poor choices because of this misunderstanding. And so when we look at the whole issue of pain, the question arises: is it good or bad for us to have pain? Is pain a good thing or is pain a bad thing? There's a particular condition called Charcot's joint. Charcot. I think it's a French word. Charcot's joint is a joint that is very damaged. I wonder if I can try to bring. I'm going to try to see if I can pull it up here so I can show you what it looks like. Because I want you to I want you to see it. It is quite something. So this is an example of, oh, I think I need to try to hang on a second. I'm trying to get my screen to show what I wanted to show. All right. Good. This is an example of Charcot's joint. This is somebody's ankle, and if you look carefully, this ankle is in a bad way. This ankle is in a very bad way. Now, if you notice, look at this deformity by the ankle here. What is happening here is that the joint is so destroyed that the ankle bone or the leg bone is no longer sitting on top of the ankle. It's completely dislocated. But you know what's the interesting thing about this, people? The interesting thing about this situation is that the person more than likely is feeling no pain whatsoever. The person is probably feeling no pain whatsoever. And that is something serious, Because if you lose the ability to feel pain, then you will damage yourself quite severely and not even know it. And we're not just talking about something like you fall and twist your ankle and not feel it, but sometimes people who have some nerve damage may end up, while cooking, burn themselves. And I know of a situation where somebody with severe diabetes and severe nerve damage was cooking and they had something on the back burner, but the front burner was on, and they reached over and they were dealing with the thing on the back burner, and the heat from the front burner started burning their flesh, and they did not even realize that they had something burning them until they started smelling the flesh burning. That's what let them know that something was wrong. They were smelling the flesh burning. And when they looked down, the forearm was well burnt up. Right? And this is a very serious situation. So pain itself, whether good or bad, it has a very important role for us. It lets us know that something has wrong, something has changed and requires our attention. But the problem with pain is that pain doesn't always tell us what's wrong. But pain is so very important because without it, it's one of our main alert systems. And without it, we actually die quickly. If you do not have the ability to feel pain, you actually will die very quickly. You don't live very long if you can't feel pain. Pain is an extremely important tool for our survival. The problem is that pain sucks. Pain doesn't feel nice, and so people don't like to have pain. But it tells us that something has gone awry. But the problem is pain doesn't always tell us that something has gone awry. And because of that, the issue is that there are challenges for persons because they may want to wait for pain to go, or pain to come on to say, you know what, let me go to the doctor because I'm having some pain here or there. There are many conditions that don't warn you with pain. Cancer is one of those things. There are most cancers do not have pain associated with it, certainly not in the early stages. And so if it's pain that you're waiting to tell you that something is wrong, you're going to be in a very advanced stage before you are alerted by pain. All right, just removing a couple posts that didn't seem to make sense. And I apologize if you do not have an English keyboard. But if you want to make a comment, make sure it's an English comment, an English keyboard. So, that being said. So let's continue. Because you know what? A lot of people make. They believe that because they feel good, that means they're healthy. Feeling good doesn't mean you're healthy. Feeling good does not mean you have good health. The only way for you to know if your health is good is by measuring or checking the functions of the body. Good health means healthy function, and you have to check your function if you want to determine whether you have good health. All right? So I'm introducing a concept to you all, and that is trust function, not feeling. Trust function, not feeling. Now, what functions should we trust? Well, when we look at how the systems of the body are set up, there are multiple systems of the human body, and these systems have very important roles. There's the immune system, digestive system, cardiovascular, and so on. All these systems are important, but if they don't work together, you do not maintain good health. If any one system no longer works appropriately, you are not considered healthy. Every system has to be working properly in order for you to be healthy. And if you're not healthy in one system, you're not healthy. Full stop. So this is an important point to make. So I want to just share with you that of all those systems, there is one system that reigns supreme because of the way that it controls and regulates the functions of all the other systems. And that system is the nervous system. So as you can see, the nervous system here is the master control system of the body. It governs and regulates all the other systems of the body. But I want to show you something that's important here about the nervous system. The nervous system has different important areas. Now, if you look carefully, what you will see is that at different points, these yellow things and these blue lines will stick off. So the blue lines here go to an organ, but there's a yellow line that also goes to the same organ. These blue and yellow lines represent nerves. These nerves control the functions of all the organs of our body. And if the nerves are not working appropriately, then the organ function will be inappropriate for the environment. And so some people may have a problem with their digestive system or their lungs or breathing during certain situations that's inappropriate. So you may find that, for example, your heart starts beating very quickly even though you're not exercising. You might be sitting there watching TV, doing nothing, just relaxing, and then your heart starts to race. Well, if your heart is doing that, it doesn't necessarily mean something's wrong with the heart. It could be that the signal that's coming from the spine to tell the heart to speed up is overexcited because of a problem in the spine. An example of something that can cause a problem like this will be a whiplash accident. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize. A whiplash accident can cause your heart to race. Yes. And this is not necessarily the same time, you know. This can be years later on, 2 years later, 3 years later. You might find that you start to have a racing heart. You might find that you start to have hypertension. Or you may find that you have your palms start to sweat, or some abnormality starts to happen, and not realize that it is because of that trauma that you suffered that caused your nerves to not function appropriately, causing your organs to not function appropriately, or your blood vessels or your sweat glands. So these are some examples, right? Now, if you have a misalignment in your spine, it's called a vertebral subluxation. And all a vertebral subluxation is when you have nervous system, is when you have a misalignment of the bones. That's what a vertebral subluxation is. And when you have that occurring in your spine, you will have potentially interference with the nerves. And if your nerves are impaired, then your function is impaired. And it's as simple as that. Now, for some persons, they think it's a simple bone-on-bone situation or bone-on-nerve situation, but it's not necessarily because of a bone pressing on a nerve that's causing it to occur. Yes, you can have bones pressing on nerves, but sometimes it's other things pressing on the nerve or other irritants caused by the misalignment that is the culprit for the issues that one will see. So let me just show this to you because I want you to see. This is an example of a misaligned bone. If you look carefully, you will see that the middle bone is not lined up with the rest of the spine. That middle bone is not lined up. What is happening is that this middle bone is displaced backwards. But the openings where the bones come together, these are where the nerves will exit. And this yellow branch here is a nerve. This red one is also a nerve, and this yellow one is also a nerve. They all will exit the opening. Now, if you move a bone out of place, that bone may now either compress the nerve, causing it to start to not carry its signal properly, or there can be a slip in the disc. Yes, you've heard slip discs. These are common. It may happen from a whiplash accident. It may happen from a fall. A bone gets shifted out of place, pulling the disc out of place with it. It's very difficult for the disc to shift without the bone shifting first. But it can happen, I suppose. Or you can have what we call a pinching of the nerve. Pinched nerve is caused by a bone or a disc or some other entity compressing the nerve. And this is what causes the problems for a lot of people. All right, so just bear that in mind, that if you have a misaligned bone, it can affect the nerve. Now, if this nerve, and I'm going to try to zoom in on this image a little bit for you. If this nerve controls your stomach, then what will happen is that your stomach might not be working the way it's supposed to work anymore. So looking at it again, if this nerve is being pinched, then the brain that sends the signal down through that nerve to control whatever organ is to be controlled might not work properly. If it's controlling your airways, it may cause you to develop asthma or constriction of the airways because of the muscles within the airways that may constrict as a result of the nerve irritation. Or it may cause your stomach to not work appropriately, or it may cause your swallowing tube or your esophagus to not work the way it should work. If your esophagus doesn't work the way it should, then you may end up with nerve irritation, causing a problem with your ability to swallow your food, may lead to acid reflux. So acid reflux is actually not caused by too much stomach acid in your stomach. That's extremely difficult for stomach acid, too much stomach acid to be in your stomach to cause acid reflux, because your stomach is protected by a mucous membrane, and that mucous membrane is what allows your stomach to have an acidic content. It's not the amount of acid that is the problem in the stomach, right? It's not the amount of acid that will damage the stomach. It's the pH of the acid that will damage the stomach. And if the acid gets more acidic, then I suppose if it gets too acidic, it can damage the stomach. But the acid in the stomach is already extremely strong acid, and the stomach is extremely well protected against it unless there is damage inside. So it's not stomach acids that are in the stomach that causes acid reflux. It is stomach acid that gets into the esophagus. And if your esophagus, the lower esophageal sphincter, which is a ring of muscles at the end of the esophagus, if that muscle is working properly, then your esophagus does not cause or allow the acidic content of the stomach to get into the esophagus. And so you won't have a problem there. So let's move forward, because I want to get to some other important stuff here. Because I want to talk about why we get sick. Now, it is stresses that cause our systems to break down. And there are three major types of stress that may cause our systems to break down. One is physical. For example, a car accident or a fall is a physical stressor. One is biochemical. So it could be as a result of a biochemical process, something that you ingest, something that you put into your bodies or put on your skin. Or it can be psychological. It could be a bad relationship that you're in. It could be job stress. It could be any host of things that can cause the psychological stressor to kick in. But these are the three things that will cause stresses to develop within our beings. All right? The healthier our nervous system is the better we are able to adapt to all of our stressors. The healthier our nervous system is the better we're able to adapt to all of our stressors. So I'm going to try to outline for you how it works so that it makes five. So this is the fifth key, our general adaptive potential. It's our ability to adapt to our stressors. So watch carefully, because if this works properly, we don't get sick. But if you allow it to break down, that's when illness begins. So let us begin. If we look at our general adaptive potential as a gap, so using the gap analogy, as any gap is, you have one limit, you have another, you have one boundary, you have another boundary. The space between the boundaries is a gap, right? But in this case, we have a lower limit and we have an upper limit, and the space within the two limits represents that gap. Now, this gap is important because if you have a wider gap, the wider your gap is the healthier you are. The more you approach what we call vitality. But if your upper limit starts to fall down, then you start to approach death. Death happens when there's no more ability to adapt to any stressor. And that's why if there's a change in room temperature, your body will change with it. Because you're no longer able to adapt to the changes around you. And so you become room temperature, whatever temperature is in the room. And that's what happens when you die. But watch carefully, because I need you to understand that the forces that push down on our upper limit that may cause us to break down and become closer to death is our external stress or our environmental stress. So external stresses or environmental stresses is what causes our upper limit to push down. And if this is allowed to happen, then our gap will narrow and we will get closer to death. But we have resistance internally. We have a system, a mechanism in place, several mechanisms to help to protect us so that we don't break down. We call it our internal resistance. So our external stresses are pushing down and our internal resistance will push up. And as they oppose each other, whichever is stronger will be the one that will win. If your resistance is strong, then your gap will remain wide and you will stay vital or healthy. But if your external stresses overpower your internal resistance, then your gap will start to narrow. And we don't want this because we hope that all of our life experiences will exist within the boundaries of our gap. If our boundary starts to collapse in onto itself, then certain areas that were once well within our range to adapt to it now start to exceed our ability to cope. And it is at these red spots that we get sick. This is where we get ill. This is where we break down. And so it is important for us to understand. And you know what? For some families, it might be cancer. It might be breast cancer for one family. It might be heart disease for another family. It might be diabetes for one person. But wherever you are vulnerable is where it's going to break down first. For some people, it's infections. So this is important. Now, how does chiropractic work? Chiropractic works by increasing or improving the function of our nervous system by realigning these misaligned areas of the spine. If you realign bones that are misaligned, then the idea is that the spine will operate more normally, and the more normally our spine will operate, the healthier our nervous system will be. The healthier our nervous system is the better our resistance is. The better we can respond to changes in our environment, the better we can cope with our stressors, and so the wider our gap will be. So chiropractic helps to widen the gap, but I need you to understand that chiropractic alone is not going to do it. You need to make sure that you're living a healthy lifestyle as well. There's no one thing that you do that's going to make you healthy. There are too many things that counteract our health, that work against us for any one thing to be all that we need to do. So even with chiropractic care, you still need to go and speak to your nutritionist, make sure you're having proper guidance. And when I say nutritionist, somebody's going to guide you in nutrition. It's not necessarily a clinical nutritionist, but it could be a naturopathic doctor, a doctor of natural medicine. It could be a chiropractor. It could be a herbalist. It could be any host of persons who have spent the requisite years of study to know these things. Sometimes their study is not in a formal institution. Sometimes their study is at the hands of people who are older and wiser and who know and pass on this knowledge to them. But you need to speak to somebody who you trust to help get guidance on wellness principles like how you eat, how you live, how you breathe, and your condition of your spine through chiropractic care. Key number 6 of 7 is identifying subluxations wherever and whenever they happen. This is what our role is at Gardner Chiropractic and Neurology. We try to identify these things in persons. So we've made hefty investments in technology that helps us to do this. The technology that we use are of two types. One is the Insight subluxation station that uses what's called a rolling thermography or rolling scanner to measure the temperature of the skin on the spine. So as they roll this up the spine, it measures the temperature of the skin. And on the right hand side, we have two paddles that measure the tension of the muscles in the spine going up the spine or going down the spine. So a rolling thermal scan and two surface EMG paddles that measure electrical activity within the muscles. These things tell us whether the spine is working the way it should or not, and they are very important. I noticed that my video quality is not as good again. Let me just check something here. Mhm. Let's see how that does. So that looks better. So I'm hoping that the quality of the stream improves. Let me just try to clean it up one more time. Alright, so we'll work with that for now and see how it does. One quick second as I restart this. Okay. So here we go now. So as we go through, we've invested in these technologies just so that we can make sure that we find out if something is going on with somebody's spine, what it is, where the problem is, and so on. That's very important. All right. And so we've invested in that way. Now, a chiropractor is not a bone doctor. A bone doctor has a special name. They're orthopedic doctors. What the work that chiropractors do doesn't influence the bone much as it influences the nervous system. And I'll show you this example of how that works. Because I really want you to make sure that you understand how this works, right? So here's how it works. A lady was asked to wiggle her left ankle and an image taken of her brain to see how much activity there was in her brain. Now, if chiropractic is supposed to really affect the nervous system, then it must impact the brain. Well, when they looked at her information, and I'm going to try to zoom in just a little bit. Um, just zoom in a little bit here, a little bit better. Very good. So she was asked to wiggle her left ankle, and this is before the adjustment when they looked at her brain when she was wiggling her left ankle, and this is after the adjustment, looking at her brain. Now the adjustment, the chiropractic adjustment where they aligned the bones of her spine, was at her neck. They realigned the bones in her neck, just one bone actually, and this is what they saw as the outcome. Now what's interesting is if you look carefully at the areas of activity, which is where you see all these different lights, the lights represent areas of the brain that were active to do the action. In the second one after the adjustment, if you notice, fewer areas of activity, which corresponds to the area in the brain where the motor strip is, which is the area we would have expected to see the results show up. So on the one hand, all over the brain was active. On the other hand, a very specific part of the brain was active. This one was after the adjustment, and this specific part of the brain is a part that is actually the part responsible for that movement. So what we can see from this is that the alignment of the spine can influence how the brain sees and interacts with the body. And this is the important point in everything. That's the important point. All right? That the adjustment can improve how the brain responds with the body. So let's continue. Let us continue. The question is, what kind of doctor is a bone doctor? Or what kind of doctor is a chiropractor, rather? And the answer is that a chiropractor, we are not bone doctors, we are nervous system doctors. Because the work that we do impacts the nervous system way more than it impacts the bones. So if somebody asks you again, what kind of doctor is a chiropractor? Let them know that a chiropractor is a nervous system doctor, because what we do impacts the nervous system more so than it does the bones of the spine. And if you're interested in finding out more about how this works, I'm sure there are lots of videos online, but I'd be glad to explain it to you if I have the time. But this is very cool information. Very cool information. So we're about to wrap up. So a chiropractic neurologist, which is what I am, I'm a specialist within the field of chiropractic that focuses on neurology. And our focus allows us to be able to help certain neurological conditions without medications. There are some neurological conditions that do best with medications and some that do not. And so we want to make sure that we understand and we are able to help persons, because a lot of people are out there with problems. Chiropractors are trained to realign the spine, whereas chiropractic neurologists actually retrain the brain itself. And so this is a difference between a chiropractic neurologist and a regular chiropractor. And this is important information, right? Now, these are some of the conditions that I have personally treated here at our office with chiropractic care. Now, at Gardner Chiropractic, we have a vision, and our vision is threefold. One is to identify subluxations wherever and whenever they happen. Two, provide people a program of care that is appropriate for them. And I say this very importantly because there are many places who don't really take the time to examine their patients before they start treating. They may do a chiropractic assessment, which may involve palpation of the spine and certain questions, but they might not be doing a full length examination or full in-depth examination to assess the areas of the body that's not working properly. And I find that that kind of makes it less likely to stumble on the appropriate approach for somebody. So this is something that we find very important, so we do it. Not everybody needs that, and not everybody does that. So I don't want to cast a negative shadow on what other people may or may not do. This is just what we do. All right, we examine everybody first. We provide a program of care. We don't just start treating. We provide a program of care so people can understand that it's not just one quick adjustment is going to fix everything that's been happening over the last 10 years. That's not realistic. So we try to explain to persons what plan we're putting down for you. And then we try to employ that plan, see how it works, and if it's working well, then we continue it. And if it's not working well, we reassess and we change the approach. The third thing is that we educate our community, and this is one very important way that we do that through this class. We also educate our community through our radio program that we have called Back to Health Talk Show. And Back to Health is a talk show on RGR, Radio Jamaica RGR, 94 FM, where we explain many different health topics to people to help them to make wise choices for their health. So that's important. All right? Now here's my question for you. Who's responsible for your health and well-being? Who's responsible for your health and well-being? Well, the key to success in getting and staying well is for you to take responsibility. Not for me to take responsibility for your health. Not for any other doctor to be responsible for your health. You are responsible for your health. You have to take your health into your own hands. And so you can't just allow other people to make all the choices for you. You have to make your appropriate health decisions for yourself. All right? If you are responsible for a minor in your home, or you're responsible for an elder in your home, and you're the one making the clinical decisions on their behalf, then you are the one who is responsible. So you have to make wise choices. And the purpose of this class is to give you enough information so that you can start asking the right questions, so you can start to inform yourselves to ask what needs to be done to help such and such, right? If there's a problem. And if there's not a problem, then you need to know what to do to preserve their health so that there is not going to be a problem. We have on our site, on our YouTube page or YouTube channel, a playlist for all of our testimonials. You can feel free to look through them. Some of them are very interesting testimonials. Some of them are cool. Feel free to check them out, okay? And the final slide is our special offer for you. Now, I want you to understand very importantly that that's right, Miss Brown. We are each responsible for our own health. So I want to pay close attention, right? For those of you, and this is a special offer for anyone here, and if you have not yet if you have not yet written your name in the chat section, please go ahead and do so now. Because in order for you to receive this offer, your name has to appear in the chat section. So that's the first step. Make sure you've indicated that you've watched it by putting your name in the chat section. The second step is to ensure that you send an email to our team, or you can simply call our office. Our office number is, and I'm putting it down here so you can all see. Our office number is 978-1050. 978-1050. And our email address that you can make an appointment through is appointments at gcnjamaica.com. Appointments at gcnjamaica.com. Send a message to either format, and you will be able to have somebody contact you to make this appointment, or you can make the appointment at the same time with them on the phone if you call. All right. So there's a 40% discount being offered to anyone who has participated in this class and would like to come in as a new patient. Now you're not becoming a patient as yet. You're really just coming in to be examined to see whether or not the thing that's going on for you is something that we can help with. And if we can't help with it, then it's our responsibility to let you know. But if we can help, we'll also let you know and tell you how we'll go about helping. Right? So you get a 40% discount. If you, as a patient, refer somebody else, then because we expect that you're going to be giving them some information about the practice, they're going to be somewhat educated as well. The more educated somebody is the better they typically are as a patient. So since you're going to be doing some educating, we're going to offer a discount to the person that you've educated as well. So if you refer somebody to the office, that person will get a 20% discount off their new patient examination fee as well. So make sure that they write your name down so that when they come in, they can tell you or they can tell us what your name is so that we can go ahead and offer them that discount. The next thing is for those who are current patients of ours, and our current patients will get a special offer as well. So it's not just those who are regular patients, our current patients as well will get a special offer, and that is a 20% discount off the update examination. So at the end of the phase of care, which is usually 12 visits, we offer a discount for those who have participated in this format. So make sure that your name appears in the chat. 20% discount off the update examination cost, which is almost the same cost of the new patient exam. But you will also get a referral discount. If you refer somebody to the office, you will get 20% off one treatment per person that you refer. So if you refer 10 people, then that is 20% discount off one treatment per person. So it's 20% discount off 10 treatments. Or you can apply the 20% off one treatment 5 times. That is 100% off. So that would be 2 free treatments if it is that you refer 10 people. As an example. But the idea is it gives you an opportunity to participate in the growth of our practice, which we're so grateful to you for doing. At the end of the phase, if it turns out that more treatments are required and that you're getting better, but we want to continue your treatments, then we will offer a 10% discount to you of the entire next phase of care. This is very important because the entire next phase of care is a lot of money because it's 12 treatments plus examination plus update reports and what have you. So it is a lot of money. So 10% discount there is actually more money, dollar value, than the 40% discount for the new patient. So we have shared this information with you because it's important information. We want you to make the most of it. But if you turn your attention to the screen, we want to also share with you some links to some very relevant places. The first link is to our website, gcnjamaica.com. If you want to follow us on Facebook, go to GCN Jamaica on Facebook and it will take you to our page where you can like our business page. Or You can like us, follow us on, or subscribe to our channel on YouTube by just simply typing Gardner Chiropractic in YouTube. In the search in YouTube, I will take you to our page, which is where you're probably watching us right now. If not, then do that now so you can subscribe to our channel and be alerted whenever we go live. And you will also be able to tune into our talk show on the radio via Facebook by typing in Back to Health Talk Show. I hope this helps. I'm thinking about sharing this on YouTube as well. I'm not sure as yet. I have to think about it some more. But I'm thinking about sharing the Back to Health Talk Show on YouTube as well and seeing how it works, how it helps. But it is very important to me that you were able to join us here tonight. I'm very grateful for your time, the time that you shared with us. And we wish for you all the very best. I will stay on for about another couple of minutes just to see if you have any questions that I could possibly answer for you. I know that Auntie Elaine had asked a question earlier about turmeric and asked how long can she drink turmeric for. And the turmeric can be drank for as long as you want, as often as you want. The only thing is that if you drink too much turmeric, your skin will turn greenish, right? Not your eyes, just your skin. And that is because it will have a greenish tinge or yellowish tinge, but it's not yellow, like jaundice yellow. But the difference between jaundice and that would be that jaundice will also turn your eyes yellow and your fingernails as well and so on. So turmeric will not change your eye color, it will not change your gum color or anything like that. It might change your teeth color because it's very yellow and it will stain. So, but it's very good, a very powerful anti-inflammatory. All right. So, thank you so much to everyone for watching. Like I said, I promise I will stick around if you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer them for you. But thank you so much for the time that you spent with us. May God bless and keep you. And we look forward to spending even more quality time with you at some point down the road. May God bless and keep you, and we'll talk soon. Ciao.
Be a cartoon, take it in real life like